Good morning.
Ralph, my name is Vahid Chitsaz, part of the Elite Mastermind group. Thank you for taking this time and being with us. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody. Let them know where you're coming from, and then we're going to dive into it, brother.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it. Second of all, my name is Ralph Dibugnara. I'm coming to you from New York, New York. I am in real estate and finance for the last 18 years. I'm doing a lot of other stuff around that, but that's really been the base of my career for the last 18 years.
Damn, you must really love real estate, man. That's a long 18 years. Whew. That's a lot.
Good
So you've seen a couple of recessions, couple of ups and you've seen it all so far.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, listen, I came in 2001, which was kind of like almost the top or towards the top. And then, I went to 2006, 2007. I thought everything was great. It was like this every single year. In 2007, it went like this. And I went right down with it. I mean, I lost everything in that market. So I really seen the ups and downs in the market.
It's so funny that you say that. There was an office, countrywide office, down the block from us. It was crazy. They had one round of cleanup when that happened. Also, Bank of America acquired them. Bank of America let go of some people. It was not a happy scene at all whatsoever. A lot of these people, but it was good. You know why? Because it shook a lot of people. It woke up a lot of people, and they got into other industries, and I think it worked out. It was a little bit of a hardship, but I think overall everybody recovered, and now everybody's much smarter for next time that this will happen, or at least try to avoid it so when it does happen, you don't go through those turbulences. But let's dive into it, Ralph. Think and Grow Rich. When did you start with the book? How did you start the book?
Sure. So it's funny because I think I read it first early in my career, and a lot of what I used from it and took from it, it was stuff I hadn't experienced yet. So, I think the first time I read it, I was probably 23 or 24. And it was when I was in the business for a couple of years. And, a lot of what it spoke to that it really speaks, and I did a refresher on it recently. And a lot of what it spoke to was failing and learning through failing and growing through failing and having to go through failing to kind of get to the next thing. A lot of what I took out of it. And I always tell people now, and I was speaking to the book and probably subconsciously, that I've learned the most from my failures. Like, I've learned the most from that. Like, I've learned to be a better person. I've learned to be persistent, which the book really talks about. So I read it early on in my career. I wish I would have taken more heed to some of what it was giving me, but I really learned a lot through it, and it just like blows my mind as I review it that 100 years later, essentially, was so far ahead of its time. Like, all the principles still make sense today, in present day. Like, it's like mind blowing to me at this point.
I agree with that, and it's so crazy how Dr. Hill was really ahead of the curve. Like, he saw all of that, and I mean, think about it. If you give me 20 years to master one thing, I mean, now you're already in it 2 decades, and then you take some other time from previous experiences, and now, I mean, listen, you're gonna master the craft. So he was after one thing: success principles. What are the success principles? So imagine you and I study the same materials, same people for 20 years, and then write about it. I mean, it's amazing that it still holds true.
No, and I talk a lot at this point, and just on I do a lot of branding stuff now. I do a lot of branding for real estate and social media, and I just held a big seminar around it. And a lot of what I talked about with that is being a visionary, thinking outside of the box, being, as an entrepreneur, like, thinking about things that haven't been done before. What he was talking about then was stuff that had never been done before, and he was so far ahead. He was such a visionary that it's still, if I could ever create anything in my life, and I hope to do something one day that can last, that, I start to get to the point where now I have little kids, and I start to think about legacy and how I want to create a legacy. The legacy that that was created through this book is, through these writings, is just amazing.
No, I agree with that 100%. What are some of the principles that you think have contributed the most to your success so far, or which principle are you utilizing the most right now? What are some of the tips that you can give us that has helped you personally?
Sure. I think that I've used a little bit of everything he said as far as principles and trial and error, but what I use in my business mostly today is, firstly, having positive energy around me, having positive people around, having positive, progress around me, which they spoke about a lot in the book. And, you know, I can deal with anything. I can deal with a poor month, a poor year, whatever. If you have a positive attitude doing it, we can get through it. If you're consistent and you have a positive attitude getting through it, and I manage, you know, probably over 100 people. So, but if you have positive attitude, we can always get through it. So that is something, the principle I use for sure. And then persistence, persistence in work. And I watched back on a couple of your interviews, and I wanted to compliment you because you brought a couple of points up that really made me think. And you had an interview a couple of times back with he was a gentleman who was in fitness, and you brought up Kobe Bryant, and you said, does Kobe Bryant get sick of wearing the number 24, get sick of going to work every single day? Does it get boring for him? And I thought about that, and when it goes to persistence, and when I think about that, you never get bored, because if you're really a person who challenges yourself to get better every single day, and you're persistent in failure or whatever it is, that it never gets boring, because you're always trying to improve your craft. And I think that what the book speaks to is really becoming a craftsman and creating a craft out of your life. And when you said that question specifically, it really stuck with me. I was just like, that's a really good question. Does somebody who's that high level, who's that good at something, who's mastered something, ever get bored? Like, he's like, I don't feel like going to the office today. You know what I mean? So it's like, some of the stuff I've listened to you say over the interviews really sparked, a lot in my brain.
No, I mean, just think about it. You've been doing real estate for 18 years. There must be something in that space. And that doesn't mean you can't do other things around it. You can spice it up, have fun, do all of these different things. But I was telling one of my buddies this morning, like 30 minutes right now before this, I was telling him for 4 years in a row, I did something that was abnormal. What I did is every single morning, I wrote an accountability email to my mentors every single morning. Before 9 a.m., it was in their inbox. Ralph, I think in those 4 years, they probably read 5 or 10 of my emails. I think it was like, we know what he's doing, it's cool. They didn't, there was no reply. It wasn't like, here's, do this, adjust this. No, it wasn't for them. It was a discipline and persistency for me that I wanted to do for myself. I kept a promise to myself that I'm going to do this 5 days a week, and they're going to get it before 9 a.m. I don't care if they open it, they get it, they read it, they respond. That's not the point. The point is I wanted to do it. Now, I tell you this, there were days that I didn't want to do it. There were days that I'm like, shit, I didn't do anything productive yesterday. What the effort am I going to put? Like, I'm like pulling I'm coming up, like I'm trying to be a good, just come up with vocabularies to write sentences. Yeah, and then it has no substance. Like, it didn't say what I did. It was just blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, so what did you do all day? Like, nothing happened. But it wasn't for them. So I was like, holy shit, I don't want to do this tomorrow. I want to make sure I got some. So I better go hustle. I better go get my productivity up and do something. So to me, it's like, do they have days that they don't want to show up? Definitely, because they're human beings. They're just like me. Man, I'm like the laziest guy on the planet. I could sleep for like 3 or 4 days in a row without missing a beat. Like, I don't even have to go to the bathroom. I could literally just sleep. Like, I just, but I know that. So my laziness is just right there every single day, just about to creep in. So it's like a tug war that you got to keep that outside, man. You just got, and you conquer that. And that gives you confidence. So to me, I don't think they look at it as work. I think they look at it as kind of a little bit of a challenge. They're like, I'm good, I'm the shit. How can I improve on that? Nobody's over here trying to come and replace me. Like, you probably heard the metaphor. It's the Kung Fu master. He's at the top. He has a lot of disciples. He has a lot of people that learn from him and pay respect. But none of these nobody wants to come and replace that guy, because his job is hard. He has to do it every day, So I don't think it works, but they're trying to better themselves. I think they're their own competition at that point.
No, and you know what the truth is? I tell myself this all the time now, and again, through trial and error and through failure and all that stuff, but whenever self-doubt creeps in, because, whenever I have a big project, and I just threw this big seminar about branding for real estate agents, it was called the Real Disruptive Seminar. And it was all about branding and branding yourself as a business, driving business through your social media. But, throughout that process, which to get there was a really tough process, and there was a lot of self-doubt. There was a lot of times where I was just like, man, I don't want to do this today. Or why did I take this on? I got too much going on already. This doesn't make sense. But what I learned now through failure is that whenever that self-doubt creeps into my mind and I'm starting to doubt myself and doubting what I'm doing, that's the point that I know I have to push through. That's the point that I know, hey, you must be really onto something, because now you're scared. Now you're uncomfortable. So if I can scare myself, then I know I'm really onto something. So you hit it on the, whatever that laziness creeps into my brain, like, wow, this is just too much. Then I really, really know I'm onto something at that point. Just like you were holding yourself accountable with the emails. Like, you just knew you had to do it. Like, you didn't want to do it, but you knew that it made you better if you did it every single day. See, because it made you do stuff so that you could write it. You know what I mean? So it makes you better. But yeah, 100% I agree with you.
I agree with that too. And keep in mind, it's shortening the distance and the time from the negative thoughts that creep in from the moment that you switch it. I think I'm not good at it yet. I don't have it down 100%. I'm working on it. I think I've got it to like less than 10 seconds right now, where a negative thing comes, comment, other people negative, whatever it could be. It's millions of different things that are trying to do, right? When that comes in, I think athletes, business owners, entrepreneurs, real estate agents, brokers, advisors, whoever the case might be, it's shortening that distance where you catch yourself and you let go of it. I already know the economy is going to crash. We know that. It's going to happen. We've had too many years of ups. It's just bound to happen. In US, we will have a crash. This crash is going to be twice as bad as the last one. We know that. Why? Because we have had a lot of ups. So it's cool. I know that. But I'm not going to sit here and just think about that constantly. I just know it's going to happen. I'm cool. How can I prepare myself? How can I survive this cycle and get better on the next one? So it's you shortening that. And I was working with somebody. I was doing a little mini coaching sessions, and I told him, I said, when you go into that phase, you take 2-3 days. That's a long time for you to be in that phase. And then that's going to lead to a lot of other things. Depressions, negativity is going to affect your girlfriend, your wife. It's going to affect all of these different things. I said, you need to pull yourself out. Like, you got to strap boot yourself and just get out. And here is the secret that I found. Every time I go through that cycle, and it takes a long time, I just got to get on the phone with one of my buddies who's positive, or a mentor, or someone that I look up to. The minute I have that conversation, I completely forget about all that negative stuff. So it's very, very important, just like you said at the beginning of this conversation, of surrounding yourself with the right people who I could just call. So I know right now, if I go through a negative cycle, I can just pick up the phone and say, hey, Ralph, what's up, man? I'm going through some shit right now. I need motivation right now. What's up? You're like, dude, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Just by you telling me what you're working on, I'm like, shit, if Ralph could do it,
Motivating.
I can do it too. Done. So now you get rid of that negativity, right? The instantaneous.
And then it always makes you feel like you can take on more. Like when you talk to other people and they're like, listen, you're on the right path, and I'm working on this. And it just makes you know that you're on the right path to doing what you're supposed to be doing. But, I agree with you on the positive mindset just in general. Like, you can't let it sit there at all. And the way I kind of manage it better now, what works for me a lot, and talking to positive people always works. What works for me is kind of what you said about you writing to your mentors. I consistently do the same thing every single day. I'm consistent. So I have a routine. So no matter how bad it is, I go back to my routine. So every single morning, I'm an early guy. I get up at 4:45 because that's when I function. I function really well in the morning. I do my meditations. I go do my exercise. For the first 2 hours of the day, I have the whole day to myself. No kids, no wife, no phone calls, no anything. And because nobody's looking for me that early in the morning. It's early, but nobody's looking for me. But I get myself back to, I go back to that routine every single morning, because then I get myself back into my routine. And by the time the day starts, I'm back to I forgot about yesterday. Yesterday's over. I forgot about it. It's over. I'm ready for the day to go. And I think if I didn't have, what I used to do? So I boxed for a lot of years, just amateur stuff. And I ran races competitively. And I did a bunch of athletic stuff competitively. And what I used to do, and now I realize now what a mistake it was that on the day of a race, or on the day of a fight, or on the day of something of competitiveness, I would do this whole different routine. I would eat differently. I would sleep differently. I would do a different routine in the morning, all this stuff. And what I started to realize is that it put me into a mental mindset where I was too concentrated on what I had to do instead of like what I had to do to get to the race instead of just racing. Because I was making too big of a deal out of it. Like, because I changed my routine because I need my routines. So what I started to realize now when I have big events and I had this big speaking engagement on Friday is that don't change your routine. Get up and do the same exact thing you do every single day. Because when I get to the event, then it's just a normal day. It's a normal occurrence. It's something. It's just like anything else. You know, don't put too much pressure on yourself to be different that day. Just do the same things every single day, and you'll have positive results. So you know, that may not work for everybody, but that's really what's worked for me.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, listen, 30 minutes of walking around the neighborhood every single day, it may not have effect the first 6 months or a year, but once you go over like maybe a year or 2 or 3 years, it becomes a habit. Now, all of a sudden, you can go longer because you build the muscles. That's the same thing with everything else. So that's it. So, Ralph, I don't know what kind of kids you got, but my kid wakes up at 6 in the morning like crazy. How did you train them that they're not looking for you in the morning? We need to do a live session on that, man. How the hell did you train them like that? My wife is looking for me 5 a.m. in the morning. Maybe my wife needs to talk to your wife.
They don't get up till 7 a.m. I try to get them tired before they go to sleep. They get up at 7. So till 7 a.m. I'm free. It's like I'm out of jail for a couple of hours. I'm completely free.
God damn, man. My baby, man, 7 months old, 6 a.m. That baby is hungry, man. She wakes up, she opens her eyes. You better have that milk ready. You better have that milk ready, or she'll wake up the whole neighborhood. Listen, I have never said sorry this much in my life. I'm just going around the neighborhood just apologizing to my neighbors. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know she woke you up. I'm sorry. Like, she hollered, man. She's going to be a singer or something.
She's a singer, yeah.
Listen, she'll be good for your events. She could do the emceeing without the mic. She'll do the emceeing without the mic.
Hopefully I'm still there in like 15, 16 years and we can hire her.
No, man, it's you got to get them going at an early age.
Yeah,
It's those habits. You got to start brainwashing them for success from early age. She needs to start hanging out with successful people, so when she goes to school or college or whatever she wants to do in the future, she'll understand what the differences are. If you expose them to both sides, they will be able to pick the right side. We have that built into ourselves where we know right from wrong. We know when we're violating someone else's right. We know that. So as long as you expose them to that, they're going to be totally fine. They should be looking up to their dad instead of somebody else.
And I agree with you. And, you know, with my kids are 5 and 3. And listen, being a dad is a completely different learning experience, and I'm learning every single day, and it's something more challenging that I enjoy. But with them, what I realized, what I believe is that people just need, and back to my life, people need consistency every single day. And I think the kids just need consistency every single day. If I can lead them in consistency, I can kind of hopefully point them in the right direction. And I want them to do whatever that makes them happy, but I want them to see that I'm consistent every single day. Dad's up at the same time every single day. Dad goes to work every single day. Dad, you know, I'm present, but I'm kind of doing the same thing every single day to an extent. And, you know, and here's the other thing, routines. And I keep going back to routines, but routines has really helped me with. It helps me think creatively to build new things because I'm so used to the things I'm doing every single day. This goes back to Kobe Bryant. You said, Kobe Bryant, did you ever get sick of doing the same thing every single day? By doing the same thing every single day, then I got that down. That's easy. Okay, what can I add now to make myself uncomfortable? What can I add to make it more challenging? What can I add to build myself to another level? So I come up with stuff all the time when I'm in a calm, routine state because, all right, I got this. Now what's next? You know what I mean? So that's really more than anything that's enabled me to keep building. And people say to me sometimes, you're doing too much. Like, you're taking on too much. You keep bringing on new things. And I don't feel that way. And I think I don't feel that way because I think I feel so comfortable in the things that I have to do every single day that adding something new doesn't feel like a shock to the system. It feels like, all right, no, I'm okay with that. Like, I feel like I can add something because I got that down. Like, that's okay. You know, like, so let's move on to the next thing. So, you know, I think that's really what's helped me be so successful. And you may have just brought more of that out of me when I'm thinking and talking about it. But I think that's what's really made me very successful in a lot of ways.
Listen, success always lives cool, and you just got to follow those. But to me, I'm trying to learn from people that I kind of look up to, and they got something that I'm striving to. So I kind of take their good stuff, and if they got any behaviors that I don't like or I don't see fit in the society, I'm cool. I'm not judging the messenger. I'm listening to the message. What does this person do or has that I want to have and I want to get, and that's what I go for. So a lot of times having a mentor or having someone in your life that you could go back to is totally cool. And here's the beautiful part about it. Somebody messaged me from a small country where they don't have as much as entrepreneurs and they don't have as much as public speakers, all of that stuff. And you know, they asked me, they're like, hey Vahid, we don't have access to everything that you guys got. And I'm like, homie, you got the best of the best in your living room. Just get the book right here. He's your mentor. Just keep reading this thing over and over. And his response was, so you mean I should read it again? I'm like, unless you're not a millionaire or a billionaire, you don't stop.
Keep reading
You
it.
keep doing the same thing over and over again. Keep reading the book. Don't think that you know the materials. You don't know the materials. You haven't internalized it. You haven't applied it unless you're a millionaire or a billionaire yet. So you got to keep doing it. You got the best in your bedroom. Come on, man. Just get to work.
Yeah, I mean, and you said mentors, and somebody actually asked a question that I'm gonna respond to about low self-confidence. But you have you said you spoke about mentors, and what I think I realized over the last few years of my career and my life is that you got to keep bringing new people into your life, and the reason being is that we continue to grow every single day as a person. However you're growing as a person. You change every single day, every single year, and I think that when you continue to keep yourself around the same people that were in your past, they're going to treat you how they met you. My buddies from when I was 15 are great, and I love them to death. But they know me as I was a 15-year-old. They don't know me as the man I am today, a lot of them. So our relationship is really based around that. But when I meet people how I am today, when I network with you, I met you today. You know me as this person. We treat each other like this person. We're positive to each other like these people. So I think that you have to continue to grow your circle and grow your circle of people, because it will continue to motivate you, because you're like, wow, I have such positive energy to this person. Yeah, because we met with positive energy. We didn't have any, there's no prior information about each other. We met like this, so we'll be positive like that. And somebody asked a question I saw below about motivation people with low self-confidence. Mental confidence has been the best thing in my life, beyond physical accomplishments and everything like that. But I went through a really tough time. I'm very shy by nature, and doing all this stuff was really hard. And through high school and college, I wasn't the cool kid. I wasn't, school wasn't really for me. I'm very all over the place. It was hard for me to sit still. I didn't do good in school. So I didn't fail in college, but I didn't excel in college. So by the time I got out of college, I really had broken my mental confidence. Like, I thought because I failed in school that I was failing in life. And it took me working hard, and I'm a hard worker, which has really helped, but it took me working hard and gaining some success. And then once I got some success, I started to build it on to build my mental confidence. But if you fail at something, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means that you probably weren't doing what was meant for you. So you have to find, I really truly believe that we all have an elite ability at something, that we don't know what it is, but we all can compete with the top 10% people in the world at something. We all have that skill. And some people are easy, like LeBron James. It's easy to recognize. He's an elite athlete. Steve Jobs was an